Welcome to episode 52 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria, and you can find me on Ravelry as M. Monska, and you can find me on Instagram as Stitched in Sweden. I decided to go ahead and change my Instagram name last week, so be sure to... You don't have to do anything if you already follow me or something, but just so you know, I am now Stitched in Sweden over there. The show notes for this episode and previous episodes are on the blog, which is stitchedinsweden.blogspot.com, and we have a Ravelry group, which is Stitched in Sweden. And if you are ever looking for some links to the things I talk about, you can find them usually over on the blog in the show notes. I had a lot of people this week asking me questions about where I get my supplies for bra making, for example, and I did post a couple of links over there to some resources that I have used so far. So just a heads up that you might find something useful there. So today I have lots to talk about. There has been a ton of making this week, which has not been very much knitting, but there's been a little bit of knitting anyway. So I thought I would start out with this week in Stockholm, talk about some finished projects, actually a lot of finished projects and just finished things that I made this week. I have a couple of things I'm working on and some different things I'm thinking about making, as well as a couple of things that came in the mail. So I will start out by mentioning this top that I'm wearing, which I made in the beginning of the summer, and it is the Violet top by Colette, and I modified it a bit. It has a Peter Pan collar in the pattern and a facing, and I eliminated both of those and instead put a bias binding on the top collar. And I also I think the sleeves were they were puff sleeves kind of in the pattern, and even though my intention was to sort of have more of a puff sleeve than I do have, this is like not a puff sleeve at all. After I had made some other alterations to the pattern, the puff kind of disappeared. So other than that, it's pretty much the same pattern. I did add some shaping in the back with darts because it was quite billowy, and I wanted it to fit nicely tucked into the linen skirt that I made, and I just felt like it looked better when it was a little bit more fitted in the back. But I really like it. I haven't actually worn it that much, but today we are having a beautiful day here in Stockholm, blue sky and warm, and it feels like winter had come to Stockholm. Oh, not winter, but fall, definitely. And now maybe we are getting a little glimpse at a longer summer, nice fall. So, okay, so let's get into it. This week in Stockholm has been, like I said, very nice weather-wise. So Thomas and I got on our bikes and biked over to Rosendals Trädgård, which is a organic farm, and I think it's mostly just like an organic farm, and there's also a castle there, and they have a beautiful apple orchard on the property where you can sit and have a picnic. They have a cafe there, and so we got a salad and some banana bread cake thing and had a nice picnic under the trees. It was just kind of a nice way to mark summer, I think. I really enjoy going there. And this is the last week that I have before going back to school. So I think that's part of the reason for the explosion of making. One of my knitting in real life friends came over this week, and she gave me this beautiful pouch that she made with the outer fabric is actually fabric that I gave her to make this pouch, and she put in this forest green metal zipper and this cute little tab. Well, she made the whole bag, and then she had this inside fabric, which I just love. Kind of a orangey peach polka dotted fabric. And I'll show you what's in there in a little bit. But it was really nice to have her over. We always kind of intend to work on knitting and other projects, but usually ends up just sorting through yarn and bra making kits and all sorts of things. So anyway, it was a lot of fun to have her over here. We had some scones while she was here with some of the blueberry jam that I made, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But it turned out really good, and that was a nice treat this week. We also had a vegetable box delivered from some local farms, and it's kind of like a CSA, but we could order per box, and so we ordered a vegetable box and then some root fruits. That's what they're called here. I don't know, but like carrots and onions and beets and things like that. So I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Alright, so some things that I finished this week. The major one is my Timeless Henley. This was finished last week, but it was still wet, so I didn't really talk about it or get a chance to show you it very well because, yeah, it was wet. But here it is, it's all finished, and I was planning on actually having it on today for this episode, but it is way too warm to be wearing a wool sweater, so we'll have to wait until the fall. I'm sure there will be plenty of days to wear this. I really enjoyed knitting this sweater, and it did knit up pretty fast despite, taking me a long time because it just sat for so long unfinished. I thought I would mention just a couple of things that I changed. As with most patterns that I knit now, I prefer to use the tubular cast on and tubular bind off. So I did the tubular bind off on the neck collar. The collar. I don't think you have to say neck collar. Neck band, I meant to say. And I think that looks really nice. It's just a really polished finish for a garment, I think. And it doesn't really take that much more time, and it's so worth it. I look back at some of the sweaters that I have made in the past before I knew how to do the tubular bind off or cast on, and you're wearing the sweater with it on your sleeve and you're thinking like, oh, I wish I had done the tubular cast on or bind off. Or I think that anyway. But otherwise, yeah, looking forward to wearing it. I don't really have anything to wear underneath it right now. I have made about 90% of a black camisole to wear underneath it, but I have one more armband to finish off, and I have the piece of fabric cut out, but I have no idea where I put it, and I did that before I went to the US this summer, and now it's gone. So I need to do some searching or find the piece of fabric, because I don't think I had any left over, is the thing. So I need to find that to make the last binding on the armhole, and then I will have that finished. Another project that I finished this week, which has been sitting in my beautiful bag. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this bag is the large size, the pattern in the Making magazine. And my friend Venka, she has actually modified the pattern and made it to be more suitable for a knitting project bag and extended the length of it so it's like a little bit of a taller bag. And I haven't seen it in person, but the pictures of it look really nice. So in here I have my cross stitch project, which I finished. And I actually started and finished this this week. So you didn't know I was working on it unless you follow me on Instagram. And this is also from the Making magazine. Here it is. So I have done it over in the corner of this fabric because I am thinking about using the rest of the fabric for another little cross stitch project that I might incorporate into or use as fabric for a bag like this, but the smaller version of it. So I kind of stuck it over on the side. But this was a lot of fun to do. It was really quick and just kind of instant gratification project. Not instant, but it was just like a nice project to have going that you could pick up easily. Would have been easier if I had the loop, the actual hoop size that I'm going to put it in, because I will put it in a hoop to finish it off. But I didn't, so I was using a square snap thing, which I think I have like a 7 or 8 inch square snap. I don't know if that's what it's called. Anyway, so I used some cashel linen in the Hunted color, which is dyed, it's from Picture This Plus, and I was introduced to this type of linen from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and this is the Haunted color. I don't know if I said that. I just realized maybe it's really loud with the window open, so I think I will close that. Not my ideal setup for recording today. Thomas is actually lying on the couch over there, which is slightly distracting, but he has headphones in, so hopefully he can't hear me, because it's awkward. Anyway, the thread color that I used for this project is number 353 from DCM, and it's just a nice peachy salmon color, which is quite similar to the bag that I had it in. So it was fun to get back into cross-stitching, and I have a Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery project currently on the go, which is, actually I have a couple of them on the go, and one of them is the Christmas sampler from a couple of years ago, so I might get that back out and work on it a bit this fall, because I really would like to have it for Christmas, but hasn't happened yet. So another project I finished this week was one that has been sort of in the works for a little while, and it is such a quick project to do. I'm not quite sure why it took me so long, except that we went to the US and I sort of ran out of time beforehand to finish it up. I also got a new iron recently, and that has made all the difference in terms of sewing, because having a nice iron is just, it's such an essential thing for sewing and quilting. Okay, so I'll just show you what I made. So I made this quilted mat. It's kind of just like a little mini quilt, I've been calling it. And I'll show you the back. This is the back side, which has just these cute little almost dandelion puffs or little flowers on it. And I made this actually to be used as a mat to go underneath my sewing machine, so that when I'm sewing at my desk, which is where I'm sitting now, I can have this underneath my sewing machine, and I can slide my machine back and forth without having it like skid across the table, because it's little rubber feet that it has underneath it. Sometimes when I'm sewing something, I want to be able to push my machine back a little bit so I can work on the desk in front of me, and then pull it back quickly without having to stand up and lift it, because it's quite heavy and I can't really drag it unless there's something underneath it. And this is really nice because it's not like it slides around or anything, but it just gives it a little bit more flexibility in movement on the table, so I really enjoy that. And I'm just really happy with how it turned out. I took this as an opportunity to try out a couple of skills that I have used in the past, like quilting, but that I haven't done in a long time, and that I definitely still need more practice on. So it was a nice small project. It's not overwhelmingly huge like a quilt could be, and I got to try out a bunch of different techniques. So one of the things that I tried was free motion quilting, obviously, as you can see with the kind of leaf design motif that I did. And you can see that it's like kind of random and not particularly organized, but I just wanted to give it a go, and yeah, I thought this was a pretty low risk chance to do that. You can see like some points where it definitely is a little bit messed up and whatever, but overall it looks really nice and it's exactly what I wanted. On the outside, on for the binding, I used some Liberty of London fabric bias binding tape, I guess you call it, that I purchased from a shop on Etsy in the Netherlands, and I will have a link posted in my on my blog for that, so you can check that out if you like. A couple of the other techniques that I used for this project are I learned how to actually do a mitered corner, so I followed the Purl Bee, Purl Soho, you can find it on their website, for how to do a bias binding mitered corner and how to attach bias binding in general. So the corners are all like really nice, and I'm pretty pleased with that. On the back, I actually did do a blind, it's not called, well, I invisibly binded it, so you can't see any of the binding. It's not like I took my sewing machine and sewed the edge on. I did the back part by hand. I sewed it on originally with the sewing machine on the front part, but then once you fold it over, you tuck it under it and kind of like stitch all along here with a slip stitch, I think it's called, by hand. And I also followed a tutorial how to do that on the Purl Bee, which is like pretty basic. Here's another mistake. You can see I do make mistakes. This part got folded a little bit, but I don't really care. That's on the back, and I think it looks great. So, serves its purpose and makes me really want to make a quilt. So, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, and finally, the other project that I finished this week is a bra, of course. This project is I was almost done with this anyway last week, but I didn't have the clasp, so I was waiting on that to come. This is a modified version of the Marlborough pattern from Orange Lingerie, and it has foam cups. I moved the, yeah, I did a lot of things. It's like hardly even the same pattern anymore, because this seam used to be over here and went all the way up, and I removed it from the top part, made this more of a balconette shape, and it's basically just a completely different shape. It's also a long line, so it extends down a little bit. And I followed some tips for how to do the foam cups on the Craftsy class from Beverly Johnson, which is called like Foam, Lace, and More or something, including how to do this nice edge on the top of the inside of the foam. I lined the foam, or I didn't line the foam, but I covered up the seams with the same fabric as the outside, which is kind of a stretch satin fabric. And I got this fabric from the Bra Shop, which is an online shop from the UK. And it was part of a little kit that she had. So there we go. That is the bra that I made this week, and I was looking for something with a sort of smoother cup. So I really like having lace on lots of things. I like knitting lace sweaters, I like lace shirts and lace bras, and so I still wanted to incorporate some lace, but sometimes you don't want lace on the cup part, so I put that just on the cradle part. I feel like it's hard to hold. Okay. Anyway, so that is the bra that I made this week. Now, a couple of other things that I made. I had one successful sourdough loaf of bread and one not so successful, but kind of turned out like a pancake, but it still tastes good, and we're still eating it. I don't really know what happened. I was trying a different recipe, which used a more a liquidy starter, and it was just really wet, and I couldn't get it to make a shape in the end. And after I let it sit in my little bread basket before I was going to put it in the oven, it got stuck in the basket, and then was like holding it upside down to try to get it out, and it just was like a huge mess, pancake style. So I was like, I'm throwing this in the oven to see if I can save it, and it's edible. So I would love if any of you have a sourdough recipe to share. I already have my starter, but I'm looking for some different types of recipes to use the starter to make bread. So far, I've been having a lot of success with a rye starter that, and the loaf of bread is with bread flour and semolina flour and a lot of rye. But I would love to try something with a little bit more white flour and less rye in it. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear those. The other thing that I made since the last time I saw you is my blueberry jam, and it turned out really well. I'm really happy with it for a first jamming experience. I think I made 6 or 8 jars, different various sizes, and you can just see how dark purple it is. These blueberries have so much pigment in them. We've already eaten 2 jars, I think, and given away 2 more. And it turned out a little bit on the firm side, I would say, because I haven't made jam before, so I didn't know when I should check it to see if it was ready to be poured into the jars. So you can do a spoon test or a plate test in the freezer. And I did the plate test, and by the time I did the test, that was the mailman. So by the time that I did the freezer test, it was already to the hard set point, which I was hoping for a softer set on this jam, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference. And the flavor's good, and I will know for next time to test it out a little bit sooner. So the mail just came, and I remembered that someone had asked where I got the fabric for this top, but I can't find what platform they asked me on, so I'll just say now that it was from this magazine, or it wasn't from the magazine, but it's from online, from this company. That is where I purchased this white lace fabric, and it was online, so they might still have some. I'm not sure. That is what I finished this week, so there was lots of projects going on, as you can see. In terms of what I'm still working on, I have made some progress, but I'm still working on my Rock Island shawl, which is a pattern by Jared Flood, and this is my little roll of lace. It's grown a little bit from last time, but it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's slow going, but it's not something that I can just sit down and knit at all times. I do have to follow the pattern. And I think I definitely have passed the halfway point for the lace edge, but I do have a bit more to go. So that is what I've been knitting this week. I am kind of bummed out to say that I decided to rip out my design project that I was working on. It just wasn't turning out how I was hoping, so it's gone. But it might come back in another form at some point, but something wasn't quite right about it, it wasn't clicking, and I wasn't enjoying it that much, so I decided to stop working on it and rip it out. Another thing that I started working on 2 nights ago is another bra, and this is the Marlborough, I have such a hard time saying that, pattern from Orange Lingerie. And I thought I would just show you kind of what it looks like in progress. I've just started piecing these together, and these are the cups. I'm kind of going back to the original pattern and not making one with modifications to it, just to, yeah, see how I like that. This is a really pretty mint light green fabric, which I don't know that you're getting the best color of it because it's kind of getting bleached out. But there's some of the elastic, which is also this light green. And it's lined with a ivory tulle. And yeah, it's a stretch lace. And this lace I purchased on Etsy from Mint Frog, which is an online, well, yeah, an Etsy seller out of Latvia, which is really close to Sweden, so it gets here pretty quickly and is pretty convenient for me. And I placed an order with her and got quite a few different laces, which I have compiled sort of into little kits for myself with the matching elastics and things that I need to make a bra. So I posted a picture of the lace on Instagram, and I'm sorry, that was a little bit misleading that the kits are not for sale. They're actually just for me as of right now because, yeah, I don't know where to source elastics in a reasonable way that I could create kits to sell. But we'll see. Maybe it's something that I'll keep my eyes open for and consider in the future. The last thing that I worked on this week is something that I actually just finished, which is some pickles. I haven't made pickles before, but I've really been enjoying looking through the book that I shared with you called The Modern Preserver. It's this book here. And because we had gotten our vegetable delivery box a couple of days ago, I had been anticipating that delivery and kind of looking through to see what I could make from this book. And I decided to try out the Heritage Carrot and Ginger Pickle. I'll show you the picture. And she has used yellow carrots here. And I also decided to try some Japanese pickled ginger, which is here. And we didn't get any ginger in our delivery, but I had Thomas pick up some while he was at the grocery store earlier. And I was working on the pickles. So here they are. This is the carrot bottle, jar. And there's some carrot and ginger in this jar with a couple of peppercorns, and has just gotten finished pretty much. I used a combination of yellow, orange, and a purple carrot that came in our box. I think that I need a little bit more liquid in here, unfortunately, but it's one that I'll keep in the refrigerator anyway, because the rice wine vinegar is not as acidic, I guess, and it just needs to stay in the refrigerator. And here is, they're still warm. Here is the pickled ginger. And again, that just has some peppercorns in it. That's what the little black dots are. So I'm really excited to try those out. I really like having pickled ginger on sushi because I'm allergic to soy, so sushi can be kind of plain without something like soy sauce. And I really used to hate pickled ginger, but I have grown to love the taste, so I'm excited to see if this comes out well. And it was really pretty easy to do, especially for the ginger. I just put it through our food processor to slice it up into thin pieces, and so it was really quick. The carrots I did by hand with a peeler, like a potato peeler, carrot peeler, to make the long, thin strips. So that took a little bit of extra time, but I think it will be worth it in the end. Like I mentioned before, some people had asked where I was purchasing materials for bra making, And I just wanted to mention again that those will be posted on the show notes for this episode, which is episode 52. And you can find that at stitchedinsweden.blogspot.com. Most of the bras that I make have sort of a variety of different parts of the bra come from different places. So, like, I sourced this tulle from somewhere else than where I sourced the lace from. And the elastic is somewhere even different. And maybe some of the elastic comes from one store and some of it comes from another. I do think it's helpful to start out with purchasing a kit. Oftentimes kits come with enough fabric for 2 bras in them, so you can try out and make like a mock-up sort of muslin for your bra and see if it's going to be the right size for you before you put in all the elastic and things like that. But just keep in mind that like the first one isn't going to be perfect, and the first 5 might not be perfect, the first 20 might not be perfect, but that maybe they will still be wearable. They'll likely still be wearable. So don't pick like your favorite kit that you are just like totally set on having as the most amazing bra ever to be your first one, because you'll probably find some things that you need to adjust or sew more precisely and things like that. I do really like the Mint Frog online Etsy shop for lace. The TaylorMade shop is a shop in the US, I think in New York or Philadelphia, and she has really beautiful kits. I know that her shop has been a little bit empty lately, but I think she was on a trip to buy some more supplies, so I think they'll be coming back in stock soon. But that's a good option for US people. It's very expensive to ship to Sweden. Sewi.de is a nice resource, but it is only in German. So they have a lot of elastics and some fabrics. I wasn't able really to figure out exactly what fabric I wanted, but I might ask my German friend to help me if I want to buy some fabric there in the future. But I did buy a lot of elastics from that shop if you kind of know what you're looking for. The helpful thing with the kit is that you can see what you need to build a bra, and then you can source the pieces individually after that if you want. I will share a link to the tutorial that I have used to teach you how to line the bras so that they have no exposed seams, which is something that I did not do on the first bra that I made, and I really wish I had done, because when you do it, it makes a really nice professional finish, and without it, it looks pretty homemade. Cloth Habit, Orange Lingerie, and Madeline are all lingerie blogs, which are like handmade lingerie blogs, which are inspirational and have sometimes tips, tutorials, things like that. So I will post links to all 3 of those as well if you're interested in checking them out. So for acquisitions this week, I did get a couple of things in the mail. The first thing that came is a skein of yarn from the Wool Barn, which I have already unwound and rolled into whatever this is called. So that's why this string is hanging out. I actually got 2 skeins from her. One of them is the Silky Singles in linen, which is just basically an off-white cream color that I was using for my shawl design, but I am not making that anymore. But I probably will use it for something else soon. This is a beautiful skein of yarn with just little speckles of blue, green, and some orange in there. And this is the Lily color. I got this in her last update that she had. So I really like it, and it's a 2-ply, and I've been kind of playing with the idea of pairing it with one or both of these 2, because I think they would pick up the colors of the speckles in there nicely. I'm not sure, these are all 3 different fiber makeups and things like that. And I haven't really done very much with using totally different yarn bases in one project, but I might consider it. These two are singles. This one has silk, this one is just merino, and then this is a 2-ply. I think merino, cashmere, nylon. So we'll see. Also, I'm a little bit hesitant with this because it sort of makes me think Broncos. I'm from Boulder, Colorado, so Denver Broncos. But yeah, I also think it's a pretty combination, so we'll see. I might do something totally different. I got a little bit of fabric this week, which I actually just picked up today from the post office. And this is fabric that I have been so excited to get since the moment that I knew that this designer was coming out with a line of fabric. I knew that I had to get some and make something amazing with it. So you probably have heard of Rifle Paper Co. And she paired up with Cotton and Steel to make her own line of fabric. So I ordered some fat quarters. This is a nice pink color with a metallic gold cityscapes. And they made this beautiful line of fabric that I'm going to make, hopefully, a beautiful quilt out of. I have a couple of more coming from, this isn't the whole line, because I was going to buy the stack of fat quarters, but then I realized the fat quarter bundle also included the canvas fabrics that were in this line and all of the cotton lawn, and I really just wanted the quilting cotton, except for this one is cotton lawn, but I think this one's really pretty, so I mostly wanted the quilting cotton, so I decided to make my own little bundle. And the other fabrics are coming from a different shop. I bought these from the Village Haberdashery, which is an online shop based in the UK. So I really love those. And then I got a couple of other fabrics to incorporate into this quilt, which will be a Irish chain design. I just got some white Moda or Kona cotton, I think, for the background. And then I'm also going to incorporate some low volume white and cream fabrics. This is a just really pretty metallic gold celestial fabric. This is a newsprint fabric that has botanical phrases and I don't know, writing on it. I haven't read it, but it kind of, you definitely could read it, parts of it. But chapter 5, purchasing of seeds. There's some, botanical images and stuff like that. Then some dot fabric in a kind of champagne-y, slightly metallic color. And then some geometric ovals. So I think that combining the sort of crazy, not crazy, but just more intense floral prints from the Rifle Paper Co. with some low volume whites and creams will make for a really nice quilt. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a quilt for a bed or just a quilt for a couch. So, yeah. We don't really use quilts on our bed. We have just some duvet, 2 separate duvet blankets, I guess, with covers on them. It's really interesting, I think, bedding traditions in different countries, because in the US I would always have a fitted sheet and then a flat sheet and then maybe a quilt and then either just a quilt in the summer or a quilt and then maybe a light duvet on top of it. And here we only have a bottom fitted sheet and then the duvet with the duvet cover. We don't have a top flat sheet. And you just like sleep right next to the duvet cover, which I just think is funny. But it's like sheet material, so yeah. I don't know if we would have use for a quilt for the bed, but I think that I do want to make this like I really want to use it, so maybe I would use a couch quilt more. I don't know yet. Let me know if you have any ideas or thoughts about that, but I'm looking forward to making that. Okay, and then finally, so this is kind of like my dream quilting, which will happen. And then my dream knitting this week is Andrea Mowry's new shawl design. This is a shawl pattern which, as of right now, is not available, but by the time this is posted, it will be available. I think it will be called Wanderlust, based on the hashtag on Instagram. But Andrea Mowry, or Drea Renee Knits on Instagram, has teamed up with Knit Pearl in Portland and designed this beautiful shawl. There we go. So I am really just looking forward to making that, and I haven't picked out yarn yet or anything because it hasn't been posted on Ravelry. I don't know what the requirements are, like even if it's made of fingering weight or what, but I think I will probably be making that. It looks like it's brioche, which I have done before. I'll need to see what I have to knit that out of. Otherwise, I think that is it for this week. I will be going back to school, so it's likely that my making will slow down a bit, but I'm sure that I'll still find some time. And hopefully some time to podcast too. So I look forward to hearing from you guys this week. If you are making bras for the first time, or you always have made them or whatever, I would love it if you would tag me on Instagram so I can see what you're making. And otherwise, I hope you are all well, and I will talk to you soon.